Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to yet another episode of the Scary-ish Podcast.
Woo! Sorry, I have podcasting fatigue. This is like the third cast we've done in 4 nights, so I'm getting really tired. It's like 11 o'clock tonight, too. So I am excited, though. I picked a good topic for this episode, so I'm super jacked for that.
Nice. I picked an okay topic, so that's cool.
So what podcast is this?
This is the Scary-ish Podcast, where we bring to you scary-ish topics.
And who are we?
And I'm Robin Grace, and this is...
Adam Diaz, I think.
And we're here to rock your ear holes.
Get your ear holes ready, because here it comes.
Ew.
Yeah, that was
Why
weird.
do you make it weird?
Yeah.
It's so gross.
It's just fun that way.
You're gross. Okay.
So we're going to start off the episode like we normally do by reading you guys some homegrown horrors. And
Which
if you're thinking,
are...
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're wondering, Adam, what's a homegrown horror? A homegrown horror is an experience that you've had. So it's your personal ghost story or an experience that you've heard about from a relative or a loved one or a friend that you want to share with us. Or maybe just some moving, touching experience that you had that was like beyond the realm of like normal life. Because sometimes that shit happens too. And you can reach out to us with any of those experiences that you might have that you're willing to share. Or if you just want someone to like bounce it off of and say like, hey, am I crazy? And you don't want it shared on the podcast, we're totally willing to be that ear. So you can email storytime@scarish.com. And you can also go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast and message us there. If you're looking for some instant feedback, you can join the group, which is like the Spooky Friends group. I think Scary-ish Spooky Friends group is what it's called.
Yeah.
You can post your story there for some instant feedback. You can also join the Discord from there for some instant feedback. And if you have a really, really short story or a topic suggestion, you can use Twitter @scarishpod. Use those 280 characters wisely. So that's the best way to get a hold of us and let us know what's going on your end or whatever creepy thing that's happened to you in the past, and we'll read it on the podcast.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be just creepy. It could be heartfelt. It could be just weird things that have happened to you, sleep paralysis and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very true. Whatever you choose to share, we're willing to listen. So go ahead and shoot it our way, and we'll be happy to read it. So
yeah.
I think you're starting, or am I starting?
I'll start because I think you started last time.
Okay,
so
sounds good.
This one's from Alicia, and it goes, so I've always been sensitive to the spiritual world. That's always a
solid opening sentence.
Where it's just like, shit's going to go down.
It's an attention grabber.
I'm not sure if that's from my Pentecostal background or my Choctaw heritage. I'm going to assume that's Native American.
That sounds right. But if it's not,
yes.
Our bad dog.
We don't know. I'm just taking a shot in the dark. I've had really crazy experiences since I was a child, but the one I'm about to tell you was probably the freakiest. About 6 years ago,
Sorry. It's just, I'm tired and childish, so that just popped in my head like, yeah. Keep going.
Okay.
My bad, dog.
About 6 years ago, I lived in some low-income apartments with my husband and my oldest son, who was 1 at the time. One night, I went to bed, and my son was asleep at the foot of our bed in his pack-and-play. What's a pack-and-play?
I do not know. I imagine in it you can pack.
And you can play.
And play, yes.
Maybe it's like a little play area that's like all connected together,
sure.
Maybe, or something. I don't know. But I was laying on my stomach with my face to my left. I remember being restless and not being able to get to sleep. At one point, I opened my eyes and was looking toward the end of the bed. Standing there by the pack and play was a really pissed off old lady.
Wow.
She's like, fuck children. What the fuck is
like,
this?
Get the fuck out of my house, old lady.
I just imagine just this grumpy old woman. Like, I don't know.
But if it's a grumpy old woman that shouldn't be in your house, I would be like, I will murder you. Get away from my child.
She was staring me down like I was an intruder in her bed. Ah, okay. She had short head framing curly white hair. She had on a patterned button-up collared blouse and dark green slacks that were creased in the center of each leg. And you know what I did? I jumped up, I grabbed my baby, and I ran into the living room with my husband.
Did the husband go with, or was your husband in the living room?
Just kidding. I turned my head to the right and went to sleep.
What? Wow. Someone get this woman a Mother of the Year mug because she has earned it.
Oh my God. Just what? But
Wake me up if the baby starts crying. That's hilarious.
Oh man. I don't know why. Okay, let's continue. I could tell she didn't even realize my son was there, so I knew he was fine and didn't really care about her. I think if you just ignore them, they can't feed off your fear and manifest more. I had kind of forgotten about it, and a day or so later mentioned it to my husband. I figured he'd just be like, oh, cool. But instead, he was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, yo, dog, I ain't scared of that bitch.
That's hilarious.
But really, I wasn't worried. He was so freaked out, he talked to our neighbor about the prior tenant. And guess what? She was a freaking old lady who died. Oh.
But did she die in the apartment is my question.
Probably. Well, I mean, where else?
I don't know anywhere else, literally, so.
Okay. Well, then the neighbor asked if I was Native American. My husband was like, she's Choctaw. Why? So yes, I was right.
Good call.
Yeah,
Called
good call. She basically said that Indians or Native Americans can see that stuff. We're extra sensitive to it. A few months later, I was sleeping with my back turned to my plug-in alarm clock. I could hear it being drug across the window ledge, then stop. What?
Do you have a cat? Because they like to do stuff like that while you sleep.
Aria doesn't do that.
We don't have plug-in alarm clocks resting on windowsills.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
A few seconds later, I hear it get dragged the last little bit, then hit the ground. I ignored that shit too. Nothing happened like that again in that apartment. Anyway, I hope you guys like this. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. Love the podcast so much, which I found on Google Play.
Oh, thank you. Wow, Google Play worked for
Google.
once.
Yeah,
well, this is like a 2-month-old email, so I will say Google Play has given us nothing but fucking problems since. So if you're looking for the episodes, they always release on time. We have never missed a release window. It's always Tuesday for topic episodes, Friday for story times. If you want to watch us live, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for the live show. I'm very proud of the fact that we are very consistent because you guys want our episodes. So if you are on Google Play Music waiting for the podcast to release, sometimes Google Play does not release our stuff and they flat out said like, hey, we have problems with the people that you host with and all the other hosts. So I suggest if you want to keep like Google as your thing, go to Google Podcasts.
Google Podcasts.
It's their new thing, and it actually tracks metrics properly because Google Play doesn't. That's my huge rant against Google Play Music. It's just been giving us a lot of problems. So I don't want anyone who listens to us to miss an episode because we're always there for you guys, and I want to make sure you can, get it. So Google Podcasts or iTunes or YouTube or Twitch or whatever.
Nice.
Whatever floats your boat. But thank you for sending that in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm glad the apartment wasn't further haunted.
I'm glad
things.
we didn't speculate they were Native American and wind up being wrong and disrespecting a completely different culture. We're like, that sounds Native American. So
yeah,
not bad on our parts. We got lucky.
Yeah.
Let's be real. So cool. I'll move into my homegrown horror, which is titled Homegrown Horror, and it starts like this. Hello, darlings.
Hello.
Hello.
That's like the cutest way to say
It's very
that.
nice, yeah.
I like that.
My name is Bree. I am almost 23, and I grew up in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. Woo, Chicago! It literally says that on the email.
Oh, I was just saying
Way to join
that.
in, though. Appreciate it. We had a small bout of Whovian obsession on the Facebook this week. I have 2 stories to tell you. One is a feel-good, one is a fucking nope. Feel free to share on the pod. I love what you guys do. It really brightens up my week. You do you, boo-boo.
That's so cute.
Thank you.
I like how this email's starting.
Yeah, it's pretty nice so far. The house I grew up in has a basement. In parentheses, does not have anything to do with my stories. I just wanted to squeeze Robin out. She held it. She took care of it pretty well for now. Also, Adam is right about basements and tornadoes. Good to know. Thank you.
All right.
It's always nice when someone says I'm right. Never happens.
Oh my goodness, he's never right.
It's a lie. She's never saying I'm right, but I'm usually right. The first one happened when I was about 7. I was sleeping, having a nightmare. In parentheses, don't remember what it was. I woke up and rolled so my back was facing the wall and saw the figure of a woman sitting in the chair in my room. I wasn't scared because I felt like I had recognized her somehow. She said to me, "It's okay, sweetheart, I'm here," and then I drifted back to sleep. When I woke in the morning, I asked my dad about it. He went to our picture box and showed me one asking if this was the lady. Turns out it was my great-grandmother, and she was only there to comfort me.
Oh,
That's really nice.
That is really nice.
I've never had an experience like that, but man, I would be fucking scared out of my mind if I saw that. But
Really?
It's got to be really weird to wake up and see like a figure and feel like everything's okay when you see them, like instantly, and not exactly know why, but that's super sweet.
Yeah.
The second one came about when I was 14 or 15.
And this is the nope one. I'm scared.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I lived/live in BFN, aka bumfuck nowhere. Cornfields as far as the eye can see. Huh, yeah, I grew up there. Flying back there in like 5 hours. Well, there was
Oh my
a
God,
condemned...
we literally are.
Yeah, we really are. Well, there was a condemned house just down the road, and me and my neighbor/friend decided we were going to go in and check it out. Slight background, I'm fucking obsessed with Disney. I know someone just like
yeah,
that.
boy.
Well, we went in and looked around. Upstairs in one of the bedrooms, we found a watch with Mickey Mouse on it. Obviously, I wanted it.
Oh gosh.
And when you pushed one of the buttons on the side, it played the song from Mickey Mouse. I took it home, set it on my dresser, and later that night went to bed.
Oh God, no.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Was it 3 a.m. in parentheses? I don't know. Could have been. To the sound of the song playing. There was no one in my room, and nothing on my dresser could have bumped it. So I called my friend and told her what happened. She agreed to meet me outside, and we would take it back. We made it to the edge of the yard, and I just chucked it in the grass. Because who wants to go into a creepy-ass house at that time of night? We just noped the fuck out of there.
That's so freaking funny.
It's like I'm getting this haunted item out, but I'm not returning it exactly where I found it. And yeah, the yard's good. Fuck it. I give up. So that's really funny. Going on, I also used a Ouija board with my cousins and video recorded it for my phone, but nothing bad happened after. Only the flicking of flames of the candles we laid out was what happened during us talking to it. Windows were closed and fans/lights were off. We also smudged the fuck out of my apartment after. That's the second time we've heard smudged in the last 2 or 3 days. So now we know for a fact that that's got to be saging.
Yeah.
So cool. I hope you guys enjoyed my stories and that they weren't too long. They're actually perfect length. So good job. We enjoyed them. You guys are wonderful people. Aw, thank you so
you're
much.
So nice.
Keep on creeping on. All my love, Bree. P.S. Attached is a pic of my Omen baby, which is a really fluffy cat.
So fluffy.
Who's telling me I want to pet because it's so
But it seems like a
cute.
trap.
Yeah, it does. They always seem like a trap when it's a cat, but still, I take the risk because sometimes it's not. Sometimes they appreciate it, and I appreciate them.
Nice.
So
Thanks,
on.
Bree.
That's been Homegrown Horror for this week. And again, if you guys want to reach out to us, storytime@scarish.com is the email. Facebook.com/scarishpodcast is our Facebook. And @scarishpod is our Twitter. So before we move forward, I just want to go ahead and recap the rules of the contest that we are currently running so that you guys can get entered into it until, I think, October 5th. So each episode that comes out between now and October 5th, if you do the following 3 things, you will receive an entry into the contest, which is just a giveaway for some free shit. And it's going to include a customized t-shirt plus some other stuff that Robin is personally curating. So we're going to post the episode. It will appear on Facebook.
Cool.
After that happens, click like on it. Step 1. Step 2. Post a comment. That comment should be the name of one of your friends. I recommend doing 1 per episode because if you do all your friends every episode, it still only counts as 1 entry per episode, and you annoy the fuck out of all of your friends. But comment on it with the name of your friend, so you're basically tagging someone in it. Then after that, click share. Share it to your Facebook page. That way anyone who you haven't tagged might be able to see it, and we can hopefully pick up some more listeners. This has actually worked very, very well for us, and it's a really easy way for you guys to get contest entries. And there's one other way you can get a double entry for each episode. Retweet it on Twitter. And you don't have to do a whole bunch of extra stuff. Just go on there, find it, and retweet it. And that is simply it. Is there anything I left out on how to enter the contest?
No. It's just by doing all those things, it helps us track your entries easier. Because we all do this ourselves. We don't have some program that does it for
Oh, no.
us,
It's all us doing all this stuff manually.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and the week that we end the contest, when we do the live episode of Storytime, which will be on a Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, we will put everyone's name into a spinny wheel, and I will spin it at the end of the episode, and whoever it lands on will be our winner. We'll reach out to you, as long as we have a way to reach out to you, which we should, because we should be able to see your name on Facebook and then reach out to you that way. And we'll say, hey, what would you like your shirt to be customized as, and what size? So aside from that, too, we'll have some other stuff that we're going to toss in there. I know Robin said, Ouija board pins or planchette pins or something like that?
Yeah, I have a planchette pin, I think.
Plus stickers for most of our catchphrases and stuff like that.
Yeah, our scariest stuff that we have.
So that is the contest that we're running, and we hit 500 likes on the Facebook, and that's what inspired us to do that.
Yes.
It's been really cool to see you guys support us. We also hit 400 members in the group, which is awesome, because that means almost all of you guys, 80% of you guys that show up and click like, are also actively joining the group so that you can see the stuff that the community posts, which is super cool. We're about to cross the 100 mark on the Discord, which is super amazing. I've never had a Discord that I owned, and I guess I don't really own it because one of our fans made it, but that was something that I created,
Yeah.
that's gonna have that many people in it. We just crossed 200 followers on Twitter.
What about YouTube?
Super cool. We're almost at 250 subscribers on YouTube.
Nice.
So we have numbers that keep growing, and we really appreciate it. So anyone who hasn't found us on any of those sites that's looking to do so, please check them out and follow us or subscribe or whatever it's called. We appreciate all the support. So
yeah, we're still babies, so any growth is awesome.
yeah, we're just gonna keep going. So the more growth we get, the better, because then we can start doing hopefully more stuff in the future, more merchandise. I mean, we have these crazy fanciful dreams of traveling to places and meeting up with you guys and possibly doing live shows, which would be amazing. But these are the first baby steps, and we'll get there. So, I mean, we live in Las Vegas, so the first live shows will definitely be in Las Vegas, and we have a lot of people from Nevada and California and Arizona and the surrounding areas that listen to us. But hey, maybe it syncs up with a vacation you're taking to Vegas, and that might be one of our first live shows. So
that'd be cool.
That's my dream, but we'll see what happens there. Enough sharing, enough daydreaming together.
All right.
Are you going to go first, or am I going to go first?
I'll go first, because mine is short and yours is long. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Weirdo. Okay, so this week I decided to lay off the more super creepy things because I've been doing things that definitely scare me. So I decided to do something that's a little more mellow, and I kind of struggled looking for something lighthearted, but eventually came across a place that I think is really cute, yes, yet equally unnerving.
So you said it's lighthearted. Is it fancy free?
No.
Oh, then I'm not in. I'm going to leave the room while you do this.
I forgot what song that is.
I don't remember either. I just know those two words are supposed to go together.
Okay. So if any of you are actually from the San Francisco, California area, I'm sure you've heard of Golden Gate Park. And I personally have never been or have ever even heard of this park before.
I haven't either. I've only heard of Golden Gate Bridge,
right?
Which I know is like #1 suicide destination in the world. And it's like it's in front of the suicide forest in Japan. Because when I did my research for how many people have like killed themselves in certain places, Golden Gate Bridge is #1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that nugget of knowledge.
It's not negative. It's just factual.
I said nugget of knowledge.
Oh, well, it sounded like negative to me. I'm tired. Whatever. Keep going.
Okay. So I'm really thankful that I've actually come across it because now I totally want to go. And maybe when we decide to go do Alcatraz and all that stuff, we can make a stop for a picnic or something. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I'm just in it because there's going to be a picnic basket, and I'm a fatty like Yogi Bear. So
what is Yogi Bear's like little friend? Boo Boo?
Scrappy Doo.
No.
Trust me, it's a crossover. It is Boo Boo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm your Boo Boo.
Aw, how sweet.
Because isn't Boo Boo like the smarter one?
I don't know about that. You're a fucking dickhead, though, so
okay.
I'm done with this exchange.
Okay. Golden State Park, as stated earlier, is located in San Francisco, California, out here in the U.S., and it's apparently one of the most visited parks in America. There was a source that I read that said it's like the 5th top visited park in America, which is kind of cool.
So there's a lot of fucking parks in America, so that's pretty impressive.
This park is huge. It's over 3 miles, or 4.8 kilometers long, and about, I'm so proud of myself. Sorry.
Good job for the conversion. I have one in my story as well.
And about a half mile or 0.8 kilometers across. So it covers about 1,017 acres of land. An acre is a lot of land.
Yes, it is.
So now this fact was what surprised me, is that it is 20% bigger than Central Park.
That's pretty fucking big.
Right? Because, like, Central Park is in New York, BT dubs. But
it's, like, in the center of New York.
Right.
Or of, like, downtown.
It's just, like, you watch all these movies, like the one that pops to my head is Made in Manhattan, where you see Central Park, and it is huge. And I didn't actually think there were parks that were bigger than Central Park. And the fact that this one is right there, like, just a drive away, and it's bigger, it's like, holy crap, how have I never known this before?
I mean, I've heard of Golden Gate Bridge, and I think that overshadows it, like, not to be like making a pun of a giant bridge that probably casts a large shadow, but I've never heard of the park, so it is paranormal in some way, right? This isn't just like Park Adventure Time with Robin?
Park Adventure Time. I don't know, parks are kind of cool, but this park is absolutely gorgeous. It has bike paths, picnic areas, tennis courts, there's even soccer fields in this park.
Now that you confirmed that it is paranormal, all those things and all those activities that you said, I just saw skeletons like playing soccer,
You're so stupid.
playing tennis.
But yeah, and there's even a bunch of different types of gardens. They have like a Japanese tea garden.
That's cool.
Like, it's freaking, I really want to go. This sounds awesome. And there's even an Academy of Sciences that's hosted there too.
Cool.
I don't know. I think it's really neat. We should go. And although this park seems charming and unassuming to the average visitor, it does happen to have its share of creepy, dark rumors and haunts. So
you said that so happily.
Well,
creepy, dark rumors and haunts.
So cute. Okay.
It's like you're putting it on a brochure or you're talking about it in a commercial.
Dude.
Come see Murder Corner.
We should like make joke commercials for things like that.
That'd be really funny. So an exercise that I used to do in college when I was trying to like warm up my writing skills. I had technical writing in college. and I used to do fake press releases for fun.
Really?
Yeah, but I used to like theme them after stupid stuff. So it was like what Umbrella Corporation's press release would look
Oh
like.
my goodness.
For like, we're sorry we accidentally destroyed the world, shit like that. So those are really fun. I've considered starting to do those again just for funsies, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. So, locals say that this park is actually so filled with spirits that you may run into one just jogging around.
What? How would
Yeah.
you know?
I don't know.
Would it be like
It's
that
just-
scene in Ghostbusters where all the ghosts come back and like all the joggers in Central Park run by like a ghost jogger and they're all like, "What the fuck?"
That'd be cool.
Would that be cool or would it be terrifying?
I don't know. I mean, is it a nice ghost or is it like
Well,
an
it's just
evil
running.
ghost?
He actually checks his pulse. That's the joke.
Oh, really?
Because like, you know, if you're a runner, you usually check your pulse to see like what your heart rate is and everything like that.
Really?
I mean, like, yeah, a lot of people
Well,
try
if
and
you're
monitor
like a
their heart
real
rate. Yeah.
runner.
And it's just some dude
Not
in
me, who's
Ghostbusters who's
like-
like a ghost who's running by and he's checking his heart rate. It's like, spoiler alert, bro, it's 0.
Okay, so apparently within the park there are a number of lakes, the largest of which is called Stowe Lake, and it was created in 1893 as a way to irrigate the park and as a promenade for horse-drawn carriages.
Promenade, good word.
Yeah. So the lake is 12 acres, and that's freaking huge, 12 acres.
Yes, it's very large.
I don't even know what to compare it to, but within the lake is a small island called Strawberry Hill Island. And
sounds delicious.
I know, I love strawberries. Okay, it's mostly for now. All I can think of is like strawberries and cream things. It's mostly for picnicking and for those rowing boats to stop around. So there's a tale of the ghost of Stowe Lake, and it first appeared in an article in the San Francisco Chronicle on January 6, 1908. A man named Arthur Pigeon.
Are we sure this was a man, Robin? Or could it have been a pigeon
You're stupid.
with the name Arthur
So-
masquerading as a man?
I hate you.
It could have been an ostrich.
It was 3 pigeons stacked together.
That could be too.
It was. So Arthur Pigeon was going just a little bit too fast in his car when
He can drive with his wings and everything? I literally pictured a giant fucking pigeon driving
No,
a
you
car.
gotta imagine the 3 pigeons stacked on top of each other in a coat, and like the
one
one
in
on
the
the
middle
bottom
is like, no, press the brakes. The one on the top is like, we're gonna die.
I'm just. It's so cute. Oh my
They're all
gosh.
shitting everywhere because that's what pigeons do.
Okay. So he was going too fast in his car, or all 3 of them were going too fast in the car. Okay, no. But really, so he was going too fast in the car and he got pulled over by police. And he was totally like panicked and agitated in his car, and he told the police officers that it wasn't his fault and he was trying to get away. And so he claimed to have seen a ghost of a woman at Stowe Lake, and that she appeared in front of his car and had long, fair hair and was barefoot. And maybe it was just a man's desperate way of getting out of a
fucking ticket? That's pretty smart.
But since then, it's become a pretty well-circulated story. Like, it's the biggest ghost story about the park.
I'm not saying that I encourage our listeners to speed. However, I will say if any of you get pulled over and have the balls to tell the cop you were trying to get away from a ghost, you need to tell me. You need to message that to me. You either email it to us or you Facebook us and let us know exactly what happened. And if they write on your ticket, if you still get a ticket and they write on there like evading ghost is like reason for speeding, I don't know. I will laugh so hard that I might die. So yeah, give it a shot because I really want to see this at least be employed once
If
in my
you're
lifetime.
3 pigeons stacked on top of each
You
other.
shouldn't be driving a fucking car. That's so dumb. You should have shot your feathers in their cop's face and then drove away. Like you would have
If
gotten
you're
away.
a pigeon that can speak English.
They're pretty good at it, I think. Yeah, it just sounds like they're cooing most of the time.
Do you know how to sound like a pigeon?
I don't.
Try it.
Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
You're
She's mocking me because I can't roll my fucking R's.
Oh, okay. All right, for you. Anyway, so Pigeon noted that he did not see a face. Stop it!
I just keep picturing a giant pigeon. It's not my fault.
So he noted that he did not see a face and that it frightened him to the point that he was anxious to get away from the park. So this makes me think, like, does the park have roads in it?
Probably. I'm sure it has paths at the very least, but I don't know. Some parks are big enough where they have like actual roads that you can drive on. They're usually one way. That way you don't like crash and they don't have to like do 2-way
okay.
roads or anything like that because it doesn't take up as much space. But I don't know. We have to go.
Okay. So the story of the ghost of the The ghost of Stowe Lake goes a little something like this. There was once a woman in the 1900s who was walking her baby in a stroller. The woman got tired and decided to rest on a nearby bench.
Uh-oh.
What?
I just think the baby's heading for this lake.
So, while she was sitting, another woman came by for a city sat. They both became engrossed in conversation, and while they were conversing, the mother didn't notice while the stroller was rolling towards the lake.
Just like Ghostbusters 2 in the beginning before the title.
What?
Except that the carriage rolls towards the traffic. Actually, it rolls into traffic and everyone avoids it. Yeah.
Oh my
Shit
gosh,
happens.
what are the odds?
What are the oods? This is all where Ghostbusters got its start from.
No.
Not really. I don't know. Let's talk to Dan Aykroyd. Maybe he'll tell us.
Ooh, Dan Aykroyd.
If Dan
Hit us
Aykroyd
up.
listened, I would be so fucking happy.
My life
Everyone
would be
tweet
like,
at Dan
yes.
Aykroyd and beg him to listen to our podcast so he can listen to it and be like, it's not my cup of tea. It kind of sucks dick.
Oh no.
I'll be
Yeah,
like,
I'm
"Oh
sorry,
my
Dan
God."
Aykroyd. We're not that funny.
We're all right. I'd be like, thank you so much, Ray.
Okay, sorry. No one noticed a freaking stroller rolling into the lake, though. That's what I don't understand. Like, strollers back in the day were not tiny little things either.
They're
right?
still not tiny little things,
But,
at all.
how do you not notice a giant stroller rolling into the lake?
This must have been a really good conversation. She must have been like, girl, tell me about that good dick.
I wrote in my script, I was like, get off your phones.
That's hilarious.
Phones didn't exist back then, people. Just letting you know.
Maybe they're playing
Anyway.
Jacks, like
Jacks.
IRL. I don't know what existed back then. I don't think we have any
Jacks,
viewers
those
or
things where
listeners, I
you
should
toss
say.
like the things on the ground and you try and pick them all up.
Yeah, I think. I can't remember. I learned to play it when I was a kid, but I haven't played it in forever. Because then Pog showed up.
We had Pogs.
Yeah, when Pog showed up, I was like, fuck Jacks.
Yeah, we didn't use Jacks. We had Pogs.
I like having a slammer because it's like, yeah, I'm going to smash this shit into your favorite Pogs and just watch your face.
Marbles. Did you do marbles?
I played marbles,
We had
yeah.
marbles.
Marbles are fun.
And then you had those big, like, 2-inch in diameter marbles where you just knocked into other people's marbles. Like, fuck your marbles.
It's like really passive-aggressive games where you just get to violently strike someone else's object.
Okay. Anyway. Inevitably, her baby fell into the lake and tragically drowned. Once the two women were done talking, the mother noticed that her baby was gone. Obviously. Okay.
She's like, there was something right here a second ago. I can't remember what.
What I don't understand is, like, back in the day, watching things like Call the Midwife, where people just leave their babies in bassinets and stuff
You just
outside
park
of
your
their
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the cold, too. It's like,
I'm
it's
like,
fucking cold
what?
outside, but like, I'm going to go inside.
How do you just leave your baby? How do you just... It's like, I don't even
I don't
understand.
have a baby, but I can imagine, like, if you're very stressed out and your kid is keeping you up at all nights, like having a brief reprieve from the responsibility of having a baby for like a moment, and then the cultural acceptance of like, hey, park your kid here, go do your thing.
It's like going to
you just decide not to question it because you're like, I need a second away from the kid just so I can go run an errand or do whatever. So it's like, I understand it from that perspective. That said, sitting on a bench talking to a person, like, how do you not just have your hand on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably because it didn't happen, but I
Just
mean...
imagine going to Disneyland and you know where all the people park their strollers?
Yeah.
Imagine all those strollers full of babies.
I just
and
wave.
people just leave them there.
I would just wave at all of them and dance and see which ones laugh and see which ones cry.
You wouldn't steal one?
No, I don't want to fucking steal a baby. Would you like to steal a bundle of responsibility and also a fucking felony? No, I'm good, dog.
Okay.
I'll steal a churro.
Oh, dude.
I'd rather do that.
Yes.
Especially if it's the lightsaber churros. Those
Or
are super cool.
one of those buckets, popcorn buckets, those cool ones. Like, I think
Are you talking about Tokyo Disney now?
No, they have them at Disneyland.
We gotta go back to
Right now, they
Disneyland.
have Oogie Boogie ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Halloween. Anyway. Okay, sorry. Disney rant. Let's continue. So, she couldn't find her baby, and she started freaking out. She was obviously panicked. She ran around the lake, and this is a 12-acre lake. She was running around the lake, asking everyone if they'd seen her baby. And so she spent all day and night asking those around the lake, and the place she finally checked at the end of the night was the lake. Probably because she's like, oh, that's the one place I haven't checked yet.
She's
But
probably dreading checking there.
it's
So I guess the
like-
one place you don't want to find your kid is the one place you know that if they are there, your child
But
is
that would have
probably
totally
dead.
been like one of my first thoughts.
Dive in the lake.
Is to look in the lake. Because you're sitting right there on the edge of the lake.
It's cold though, right? This is wintertime?
It doesn't
pictured it.
say.
Okay,
I don't know.
pictured it in wintertime for whatever reason.
So she dived into the lake. At the end of the night, she dove into the lake in front of all these freaked out people and went to look for her baby. And it's supposed that she hasn't been seen since.
Or has she? Bum, bum, bum.
Well, eventually, the body of her baby was found,
Aww.
but the mother seems to have vanished. They couldn't find her.
She's forever looking for her kid in the afterlife.
It seems that way. It's rumored that if someone goes to Stowe Lake at night, weird things happen. There are accounts that a lady comes up from the lake and she asks those near, "Have you seen my baby?" It's
what
just
if you're like, "I am your baby"? Will she finally rest, or will she drag you into the lake?
I don't think anyone's ever tried that before.
I don't know. Don't.
Okay.
Probably won't go well.
Okay. She seems to always be in white and vanishes as quickly as she appears. And cars seem to stall all at once within the vicinity of the lake.
That's fucking creepy.
Yeah, that's super weird. They all stall at the same time.
Well, then how did that guy get a speeding ticket if his car stalled?
This is before. Or no. This is after. I don't know.
Isn't this the legend of what he was running from?
Yeah.
So he's full of shit, one way or the other.
I don't know. It's not like it's not like all cars always stall. It's like sometimes cars will all stall.
Oh, okay. To me, it sounds like these 3 fucking pigeons couldn't get their story together. And
You're
they're
so
like, no, there was a ghost there. No, the car stalled.
Shut up.
The other one's like, ooh.
Oh my god, that's not what they sound
It
like.
works for me.
Oh my god. Okay.
The other one was like, meow. And they're like, you're not speaking English. You're not helping.
Okay. So, some people will get strange and sudden chills, or the feeling of being watched, or random feelings of panic or dread. Like that. I think that's a really big marker for me that something weird is going on.
It's like that palpable sensation of something, what the emotion that someone went through of something awful happening to them is like still attached to a location. Yeah. I agree. Because like when people always say like, you can just feel it in the air. Like something that horrible
that's
like
a
persists.
real
And
thing.
that's why when you go into places, you're like, the place just didn't feel right. It's probably because something bad happened there. And like that's still just fucking hanging in the air. Like regardless of whether or not you can scientifically prove something like that, everyone has kind of experienced that at one point where it's like, this place just feels weird or it feels something off, and like you just think, you walk into a place, you're like you two just had a fight, didn't you? You're like, you two just fucked, didn't you? It's just in the air.
Moving on. So, another rumor is that if someone says, white lady, I have your baby."
What the fuck? Why would you do that?
I don't know. I feel bad actually saying it out loud because now I'm kind of scared.
And it's being recorded.
Fuck! Okay.
Finish it out.
So, if someone says it 3 times, the lady will appear from the lake and she'll ask you, "Have you seen my baby?" If she says yes, she'll haunt you. And if you say no, she'll kill you. I kind of just freaked myself out.
Wait, what are you supposed to say?
I'm not saying it again.
I need you to say it twice more.
No, fuck you. No, I'm scared now. Okay. There's another strange report about the statue at the entrance of Stowe Lake. And
Is its name Vigo? This is all going to tie together.
It's called the Pioneer Mother.
Nope. Okay.
It was created in 1914 in honor of the pioneer women of the Old West.
In honor of the pioneer otters of the Old West.
Dude,
which were really
imagine otters
only 2
with little
pigeons
cowboy
stacked on top
hats.
of each other. Our last email, well, not our last one, but during story time, they said that otters are like the most evil creatures on the planet. So I don't believe it, though. They're too fucking cute.
Well, it's like Nymeria is cute most of the time, but when you try and touch her hair at all, she's like...
Well, she's a Shiba Inu. They're like bred to be evil, so they're supposed to be like cats. So that just tells you everything you need to know.
Okay. It was placed in the park in 1940. The statue is kind of interesting looking if you've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I saw a picture of it, yes.
Okay.
But it's like it's a pioneer woman with 2 children in front of her, 2 naked children in front of her.
That's weird.
One's a girl, one's a boy. I'm just like, the little pedo Willy is just weird.
That is weird.
Because I'm just like, I don't think I should be looking at this. You know what I mean? And anyway, the statue is said to move from time to time.
Does it like to move it, move it?
It likes to move it, move it.
It likes to move it?
Yes.
Copyright strike.
So it moves. It's said that it's moved its head before, and it moves its head back and forth as if it were searching for something. and it's reported to change its facial expression as well.
Does it smirk or smile at the pretty women that look like, I don't know, Sigourney Weaver, perhaps?
I hate you. Stop. It sometimes distorts into something bordering on sinister. So it like twists its features and looks super creepy and weird. Others even report that they've seen the silhouette or a phantom of a smaller child as part of the statue, and it vanishes when they get closer. So I don't know if it's a trick of the eye maybe or something like that, but...
What you should do is stare at the statue in a mirror in front of it.
No.
And see what happens.
No, that's a stupid idea.
Why is it a stupid idea?
Because that's like asking for evil things to happen.
Is it asking for evil things to happen, or is it just asking for things to happen?
No.
Maybe the statue like winks at you and then gives you a thumbs up.
I'm good. Nope.
You don't need statue validation in your life?
No, I don't.
Okay. Good to know.
So the creepiest part about this statue for me is that near the statue, there are reports of the sounds of disembodied children's laughter. And I've said time and time and again, some of the creepiest things are the sound of kids' laughter.
Especially disembodied kids' laughter. It's one thing if it's a kid that like should be there. If it's a kid that doesn't exist and you hear laughter, that's super fucking creepy.
Yeah. No thanks. I'm good. Before its restoration in 1999, the statue was fairly discolored and had strange white marks on its face. Some people have actually said that it's something that they would say like it's something within the statue trying to come out or trying to make it look more human by changing the color of the metal.
Maybe. It sounds like a stretch, but hey, we'll go with it. I mean, mine's going to be just a bunch of,
conspiracy shit.
It's conspiracy theory shit, so we'll see.
And then the marred surface of the statue is a result of the metal twisting from trying to turn.
That's interesting. That's an interesting theory.
So some believe that the statue has actually become the unintentional home of the ghost of Stowe Lake.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
so
kind of
that
cool.
chick lives in the statue, you think? And it's looking for her kid?
Maybe.
Because it has two kids in front of it, just saying.
But that's not all, folks.
I hate you.
Cue the ghost cop. So.
There's a ghost cop?
Yeah! It's like
Do you think the ghost cop gave that guy a ticket?
Oh! It gave the pigeons ticket.
It's like, excuse me, Mr. Pigeons. Why are you driving around in this car?
Oh, man. See, this is why I was like, this will be a nice lighthearted one.
This one is fun. I'm enjoying this one.
So, this one seems strictly urban legendy, but it seems
because the other ones were so fucking grounded in reality.
But it seems really funny and interesting to me to have a ghost cop. There's a story of an unnamed cop, convenient, who lost his life in the line of duty within Golden Gate Park.
This is the theme, or this is the storyline of R.I.P.D. with Ryan Reynolds, which incidentally almost killed his career.
What?
It? No, like R.I.P.D. is like supposed to be
what
like the dead people police that keep like, it's like Men in Black.
Oh, I want to watch that.
No, you don't.
Why not?
Because it was supposed to be like one of the worst movies ever fucking made, so.
Oh, come on. I'm sure it's
just
not
tell me the
bad.
story. Just tell me the story of your ghost cop, and then I'll be good, so I won't have to watch that one.
Okay.
Shout out to Ryan Reynolds. I love you.
Wow, okay.
We're friends. No one knows that. He doesn't even know that.
This paranormal police officer allegedly patrols the park and approaches those who have committed traffic violations. So make sure you're not speeding or have a light out on your car or anything that could possibly warrant a ticket, because he will find you.
I will say,
he will kill you.
If I got pulled over or if a cop approached me and they're like, hey, you were speeding, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, officer. I saw a ghost and I had to run away. And they'd be like, I'm not buying that bullshit. Here's your ticket. And they try to hand me a ticket and my hand passed through it. And then I realized my hand passed through the cop. I'd be like, oh, thank God you're not real. And I just walk through them. Like, I'm not paying that fucking ticket.
So, I think that's a pretty dedicated officer who gives tickets while he's
I think that dude needs a break. Like, he needs to rest a little bit. Let the real cops, the alive cops, do their jobs, and then, take it easy for just a little while, like eternity. Like, stop hassling the people.
Take a picnic on Strawberry Hill Island. Or I forget what it's called.
He's
Strawberry
a fucking
Hill
spirit,
Island, right?
so I'm saying he should pass on. He should move on to the next life.
Okay.
Not take a picnic.
Okay, so the police officer issues a ticket, but when the people go pay for it, there's no record of the ticket.
So you have a piece of paper handed to you by a ghost.
I don't know. This is urban legend. I can't tell you. Okay. What's even weirder is that there's no trace of there being a current officer of that name. And legend goes that an older officer will recognize the name, but that it's impossible because he's been dead for 10 years.
Is it 10 years or is that you just making something up?
No, it's 10 years. But if you guys don't watch Friends, go do that right now. It's hilariously adorable.
What?
It's very dated, but still funny. Joey is Matthew LeBlanc or whatever, right? Matthew
Yes.
LeBlanc plays Joey, who's an actor in the show, and he has a role in a play where someone in the play actually says something to the effect of, she's been dead for 30 years. It's just so fucking funny.
Sounds hilarious. I hate Friends.
I hate you. Okay. The legend says that it goes like that, or something like that. Anyway, good news is, if the cop is on your tail, you just have to exit the park quickly because he purportedly can't leave the park.
He's bound to the park.
For some weird
So if I
reason.
leave the park and he's at the edge of the park, do I get to talk shit to him? I probably shouldn't, on the off chance it's an actual cop who would probably just shoot me. He had a gun. He reached for it.
I just imagine like that Suicide Forest, the Forest movie with
Natalie
Marjorie.
Dormier.
Yeah.
She's so fucking hot.
Where it's just like her twin. Oh wait, spoilers if you guys haven't watched this movie.
I mean, the plot is that her twin gets lost in the forest and she goes to find her. So
yeah,
are you ruining the ending right now?
Yeah.
You suck.
Okay, I'll just, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I won't spoil it. Okay, anyway. The next time that you guys are in San Francisco, do some ghost hunting, because I had no idea there were this many ghost stories and places to visit. Like,
most cities that are old have a lot of ghost stories, but a lot of times you can't find them because they're like local legends and you can't really find them too well on the internet. Like, the first topic I was going to do tonight was going to be a local legend that I knew about, like, but I didn't know so much about the background of it. And so all the stuff that I found was about the history of the actual person and not so much the stories that I grew up hearing. I couldn't find like anything on the internet about that.
Yeah.
It's just all verbally passed down. So like when we go back there, I need someone to tell me their ghost stories so I can like put it on our site or something like that.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, there's so many places with a lot of rich history and a lot of, you know, really weird urban legends about creepy naked children statues with like older ladies that look at people and
pigeons stacked on top of each other.
And pigeons going everywhere and fucking ghost cops writing real tickets that just don't have like reference numbers. Like, sorry, it's not in the database. That's some cool ghost parts.
What if it's like
there.
some dude like from Let's Be Cops where they're just walking around pretending to be cops and they're like, I gotta give you a ticket, but just be careful, okay?
That's a really funny thing that you could do to people on Halloween.
But yeah, there have been a number of different paranormal investigations that have been done in the park, and it seems like a few of them actually think that it's really haunted because they just have this feeling, like this energy that's palpable, that you can just tell that there's something not quite right. So I really want to go to San Francisco. I think that'd be really cool. Stop at Alcatraz, see some haunted shit.
It's definitely worth checking out. And like just a few, I don't know, I think it's less than an hour south of it is the Winchester Mansion. So
No way.
yeah. It's super close. You said it's in San Jose, right?
San Francisco.
No. I'm talking about the Winchester Mansion.
Oh, yeah, San Jose.
Yeah, that's right by San Francisco.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So
interesting.
that'll be a very fun road trip, a very paranormal road trip. So looking
Cool.
forward to it.
Yeah. Neato.
Cool. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
That was really good.
Oh, thanks. I
Good
thought it
job.
was really fun.
Very, very impressed. That was solid. I really enjoyed the part about the 3 pigeons, which I totally believe, and then the rest of it, I don't know. But that was super fun. So I'm going to move on to one that is not as lighthearted and fancy-free as Robin's was. It's something that I've heard of before, but I've never heard of like the actual theory behind it. And like this week, I dabbled in a few topics, like I said, before deciding on this one, and I've been interested in dipping a toe into the whole conspiracy theory pool. But I'm usually pretty wary of doing that because I'm not a fan of people who tend to be completely full of shit. And the conspiracy theorists that I know of, like today, are usually like absolute fucking frauds that like make up bullshit in an effort to like disguise or discredit like something that's actually happening. And they're usually trying to sell you a product being developed by a competitor, which is just really fucking annoying. And I really hate that. It's super disgusting. And that said, my topic this week is about how all brands of soft drink are actually mind control potions, and I'd also like to announce the new brand of Scarish soda. So
That'd
go pick
be
that
incredible.
up. Yep, that would be fucking awesome. Funny joke, right? No?
No.
Cool. What I'm really covering is the Philadelphia experiment,
What?
which I have heard of, but I have not heard of like what the fuck it was, and I know that there's movies about it.
What?
So you may be asking yourself the question, what the fuck is the Philadelphia experiment?
Yeah.
Well, it is a movie that I have never seen. And like I said, I'm pretty sure there's at least one sequel. And it's based off of an actual event, and I hope you can hear my air quotes, that people claim to have taken place back during World War II. So, it's not a secret that during times of war, most countries will take the greatest minds that live within their countries and recruit them in an attempt to, craft or create something that will give them an edge in the war. Like a good example is like Alan Turing being recruited by the British government in order to decode German messages. And that's like a very famous thing where he did invent the machine that was able to decode them. And they were able to kind of change the tide of the war because of that. And like, there's a lot of scientists that were pulled into, of course, the Manhattan Project, which about everyone knows what that is. Even if you're not American, it's where they created the atomic bomb. And one such scientist that America did recruit during time of war, and even before that, was known as Albert Einstein.
I was going to say that. I knew it.
So the story of the Philadelphia experiment states that he was recruited along with others to develop a way to cloak naval units. And while it's not exactly known whether or not Einstein worked on something exactly like this, a lot of the accounts state that not only was he like part of this research team, he was also present during the experiment. And while my rational mind says like, you hired Albert Einstein to cloak naval units, so you're clearly saying you mean to hide them from the radar. This theory of this like Philadelphia experiment states that this went much further. So before I get into the part where I tell you that this could and most likely be all bullshit, let's talk about what actually came from some of these experiments to hide ships in World War II, so you guys can get an idea of where the facts lay and where this conspiracy theory might have come from.
All right, I'm
or
intrigued.
maybe some of the actual like things that happened here could have led to something similar to what is like still widely regarded as a hoax. But that said, the general theory of making something invisible is usually typically followed by the general knowledge that it's impossible to do. So instead of doing that, usually we try and develop a way to trick a radar or a detection method into not realizing something is there based off of whatever ways they detect it. And during World War II, there was such very heavy traffic in the waters in Europe, sometimes you didn't even need a fucking radar to detect whether or not a ship was nearby. Like, especially if you're like Germany, and in a lot of cases, they were just leaving giant fucking magnetic mines in the water, and especially in the known heavy traffic areas of your enemies. So to counteract this cockdouchery, one thing that was done, and it happened across the pond, is that to make a very long story short, a big boat is made of steel. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Steel has magnetic properties, and the mine in the water would pick up on that, attach to the boat explodes.
Okay.
So the effort was made to counteract the fact that a boat could attract a mine, even though it has a magnetic charge. And the way you measure something with magnetic properties, there's many different ways, but the Germans in particular called the unit of measurement, and most people still do, Gauss, Gauss. And basically that, not to get too sciencey here, it measures magnetic flux density. And you guys don't give a shit about any of this, and that's totally okay. So I think it has something to do with a flux capacitor, a 1.21 gigawatts. That's a Back to Future joke.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't get it, I hate you.
Okay, so I think there's an AutoZone out here or something. If you go to their website, you can actually look up like...
Oh, there's the item number for the flux capacitor. Yeah, but it's like $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
And it's never in stock.
My coworker showed me that, and I was like, that's the most hilarious thing I've seen recently.
I would love to have one in my car. It'd be amazing. But okay, anyways, so...
You want a DeLorean?
This whole thing... I don't want a DeLorean, actually. But this whole experiment was an effort to reduce a ship's magnetic signature, and it was successful. And the process is called degaussing. So why do I bring this up? And it's very simple. So one of the ways to degauss a ship, and the Brits did this like by and large a fuck ton, is called coiling. And you literally install magnetic coils into ships to offset its natural signature, and the mines are basically tricked into not seeing the ship. So it's just some apparatus that you install all over the ship, and you can imagine like electromagnetic coils being installed onto large ships to keep them from attracting like magnetic mines.
Okay.
But that shit's expensive. So like a different way to do this is called wiping. And this is 100% true. For those of you who've never heard about this, they took a super fucking long and thick electrical cable. They ran 2,000 amps through it, and it was dragged along the sides of ships. I think they wiped 400 separate ships during the evacuation of Dunkirk. And
No
they're like,
way.
get over there and get those fucking people, because those mines were those waters were filled with mines.
So
So
what
they
does
had
the
to get
wiping
there
do?
and get back. It basically reduces your magnetic signature to 0, but the thing is, it wears off. Like eventually, just by traveling on the Earth, you start picking back up your magnetic charge. So eventually, you will like have a charge again to attract the mines. But it's something that you can do that's temporary, and it's also very, very cheap, as opposed to, coiling, which is installing this apparatus. So the effect does wear off,
That
though.
is so cool.
It's like, why am I giving you all these examples? Well, I want you to picture all this shit being installed, like a fucking magnetic device being installed into a ship, like a giant magnetic coil device being installed to a ship, or a giant cable with like a bunch of electricity being run through it, being dragged along the sides of a ship. So you get an idea of the things people were trying in order to, mask the magnetic signature.
Okay.
So that said,
Is that how they track on radar?
no, not necessarily.
Oh,
It's
okay.
usually movement in the air for like aircraft, and there's a bunch of different ways you can track things through the water. But anyways, so
Sorry.
a lot of what the Philadelphia experiment has going on with it has similar pieces of that science. And according to this conspiracy theory, it produced a dramatically different effect. So what was this experiment? Okay, well, first, the disclaimer needs to go out that this could all be bullshit. But there are two parts to this as far as I can tell. So flashback to 1943. There's still 2 years left to go during the war. It's full-blown wartime, so basically everything's just batshit crazy all over the globe, and technology is advancing by leaps and bounds, and most of it is not for the right reasons. Some experiments are being done in order to prevent the loss of life, and I think that's something where during time of war, people think like, there was this project, and if you really want to get a perspective on like the people involved in the project, which ones were trying to prevent people from dying, and which ones were trying to essentially create a super weapon, because there was so many projects, and pretty much by every country, every major player involved in World War II was trying to figure out a way to end like not hundreds and not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of lives in a single strike. And back then it was like considered a super weapon. Now we call them weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, shit.
So according to legend, for the Philadelphia experiment, someone was reading a bunch of Einstein, or Einstein was directly involved, and this project revolved around this thing called unified field theory. I'm not going to get super sciencey and balls deep in unified field theory, but it's exactly what it kind of sounds like. You combine two known fields into one. You unified fields.
Okay.
And the effects can dramatically alter an object. So what fields am I talking about? You mean like combining like tomatoes and tobacco to form tobacco?
Here's the
It's a Simpsons joke.
Oh!
But no, dear listener, I'm talking about combining things like the electromagnetic field of an object with the gravitational field of an object. So a quick pause here. We have no idea if this is possible even today in 2018. And if it were, we have no idea what the fuck the effect would be by combining two forces like that. But according to the legend, some classified researchers decided they knew a way to use large electrical generators in association with an object to actually bend light around it. And bending light is a thing that actually happens. It's called refraction. Like, that's just stuff you learn about in science class. But by being able to manipulate an object's refraction, like by being able to put something onto an object and then being able to like actually bend light around it, you could essentially render that object invisible.
What?
So in theory, if you could find a way to like, if you had a gauge that increased the refraction of light around an object, you should be able to do that.
Okay.
So this is supposedly what was like the goal here. So you're not cloaked on a radar, which is always funny to me. Like you just can't fucking see the thing. Which as a side note is just like you'd still see the water displacement. So I think this was a very stupid fucking experiment. Like, cool, you can't see something. That totally works for planes. But if you're doing this shit on boats, you see this giant depression in the fucking water and the waves splashing against something that doesn't exist and like this giant ship cutting through water. So it's like, yeah, you might not see it like with your eyes, but you could probably still pick it up on radar. And when I was reading this, I'm like, why the fuck would they even do that?
What about the helicarrier in the Marvel series?
It flies.
Yeah, but in the water. I'm sure you could be invisible in the water.
It's not even invisible. They don't refract light. They have a bunch of panels on the bottom of it that make it look like it's fucking like the sky above it. So, okay, let's get back to this experiment.
Okay, sorry.
So that said, the Navy's nipples got super hard when they heard about this theory, and they're like, fuck yes, like pick a boat and strap it on and let's fucking go. So
sounds so sexy.
The ship the researchers chose was known as the USS Eldridge, which sounds way too much like Eldritch to me.
Me too.
But
oh, wait, is that a nerdy thing?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But the first such experiment supposedly took place during the summer of 1943. And upon activation of what I'm just calling the device, which is kind of an apparatus, you can call it whatever the fuck you want, the ship itself that it was attached to, the Eldridge, had quite a strange phenomenon occur. And according to some random witness who probably didn't exist and is completely unsubstantiated, the ship's attempt to become invisible to the human eye was almost completely successful.
What?
And the only hiccup in the plan was that the area that the ship had previously occupied was now replaced with a light green fog that appeared when it vanished. You could still see the water, and you could still see the depression in the water, which, like, as I was doing the research, I'm like, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, you're still going to see where the fucking ship is. You just won't see the actual ship because it's going to be in the water. And, like, this witness said that you could still see in the water where the ship was. You just couldn't see the ship anymore, and there was this weird fog around it. So once the experiment was brought to an end, the ship reappeared. Again, this could all be bullshit. And I mean, like, this is a conspiracy theory. This isn't even something that, like, anyone's corroborated at any point. But the ship reappeared, and the structure of the ship basically had no visible effects to it from going invisible. Everything came back exactly how it was. The crew, however, supposedly had been affected. So most of the crew complained of severe nausea after the experiment. They're like, we went invisible. I feel sick to my stomach. That was just fucked up. And this conspiracy theory has been recounted, honestly, probably a million fucking times since it was first brought about. It was supposedly originated in letters from a quote-unquote anonymous writer who was not anonymous, and I'll get to that, that were sent to an author named Morris K. Jessup. And the author of the letters, the guy who sent these letters, was later identified to be Carl M. Allen. And he wrote the letters under a pseudonym, Carlos Miguel Allende, which I think is funny because it's like almost his exact same name, just in like Spanish. So that guy's a real person, and we will get to that later. But that said, I've seen multiple accounts that combine the experiment in the summer with the experiment in the fall into one event, and the things that happened. And the things that I read that were more detailed and that had more to do with the actual letters that were written, it appears that there was two separate experiments. That was the first one. This thing disappeared. It came back. The people on board were like, I'm fucking sick. That sucked. So it appears that there was a second experiment that took place. And supposedly after the first one, the Navy was like, yeah, that was pretty fucking cool and all, but we're really just looking for a way to hide from radars and mines, so maybe change it up a bit. So the researchers adjusted. And they took the USS Eldridge out for a cruise again on or around October 28th, 1943. And as a side note, October 28th is my brother's birthday. Happy birthday. Well, this is like, 40 years before he was born. But during this experiment, they carried a skeleton crew this time in order to reduce the risk of affected individuals because so many people complained the first time.
Yeah. And
the experiment this time took place, and I think it did the first time as well, in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. So they pulled away from port for a little bit. They fired up the recalibrated device or whatever. And when they fired it up, there was a flash of blue light that surrounded the ship upon the activation. And then there was nothing. And this time the ship had vanished yet again, but there was no impression to be seen in the water this time. There was no green fog. It's like the ship just vanished. And
oh my goodness.
It looked like the ship was just not fucking there anymore. And the ship supposedly did turn invisible, but with the added effect of moving from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard to Norfolk, Virginia, which is, in case you don't know, 200 fucking miles away, or 320 kilometers for those of you not from the States.
Nice.
So a short amount of time after the ship moved, the ship would reappear back in Philadelphia Naval Yard. And so let's just break this down really fast. Let's say this actually happened, okay? And the accounts that are, quote, known of the event are actually true. The time isn't 100% sure when the experiment took place. Like, I usually say to a voice recorder, like 9:52.
Yeah.
So let's just say 10 a.m. was the time. Like, they were gonna go do this shit at 10 a.m. If they did it at 10 a.m. and this shit actually happened, and all the accounts are true, then the time at which the ship appeared in Norfolk, Virginia, right after they flipped the switch, was 9:50 a.m. Because the ship didn't just teleport 200 miles in an instant. It actually traveled back in time, according to this theory. It appeared at 9:50 instead of 10 o'clock, and it stayed there for an undetermined amount of time. So let's just say it stayed there for 5 minutes. So it went from 9:50 to 9:55 in Norfolk. When it reappeared, it was 10:05 back in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So the amount of time that it stayed continued on in like the present time. And when it came back, everyone was like, fucking mission accomplished, right? So except for the whole like hiding from the radar thing, I think that's still not working.
Okay.
You're just not where you were before. So it's
Okay.
like these guys basically actually invented teleportation and time travel. So you're probably thinking at this point, Adam, this is obviously bullshit. Like if they pulled this off, we'd have heard of this technology by now. Like my fucking Apple Watch would be teleporting me to work if this could happen. And like you guys know I'm a skeptic. So that said, here's a reason that if this did occur and if this isn't all 100% bullshit, they might not have advanced the technology. So upon the return of the ship, the first thing that the researchers probably thought was like, fucking tight, like it worked. And then the next thing they probably thought was like, let's get on that fucking ship and see what happens. So like, remember how I said that after the first experiment,
everyone felt
the
like
ship
shit.
came back and the ship was fine and everyone kind of felt like shit. This time there were a few things different about the ship.
Oh.
The crew still had side effects of this yet again. They're fucking babies. So some of the skeleton crew simply weren't there anymore. They didn't come back. So they had vanished. They weren't found in Norfolk. They weren't in Philadelphia. They were never fucking seen again. They were just not on the boat. And what's super fucking creepy is that others had made the trip back, but were, well, like in the nicest way I've heard it described and all the stuff I've read, they were mad. And I don't mean angry. They had gone mad. They had lost their fucking minds. They were insane. So the ship itself, like the alterations were subtle but noticeable. Like where there was once like a bulkhead or a wall or another apparatus of the ship, there was now what do you call it? A crew member fused to the fucking ship.
Oh my gosh!
Stop reading my script. You're reacting before I even say things now.
I'm sorry, but it's like that episode of Doctor Who where.
And now you know where the inspiration from that probably came from.
Really?
Well, this was fucking written back in, like, these letters were written in the 50s, dude. Like, this isn't like a new fucking conspiracy theory. This has been around forever.
Where the time travel, I forget what the episode is called, but it's about Madame Pompadour, and it has that spaceship, and they like travel through her life, but like they've taken the entire crew of the spaceship and turned it into parts for the ship, and just like time travel and crazy, and what? This is insane.
So I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, go.
So their crew members are now just fused to the fucking ship. Some of them are dead. Some of them are screaming in agony. There's a description of one of them that's like, in the, I don't know what the bowels of the ship are called. You know, I want to call it the basement, but not really, where he was like halfway sunken into the floor and just fucking screaming.
Way.
And it's like the metal had just fused into his body. So it's not like he got cut in half. Like his legs were below where he was like, you know, sunken through, but his midsection was just like fused with metal. And then he fucking died, you know? So last but not least, the final effect that has been mentioned in this conspiracy theory is that some of the crew that rematerialized.
Ew, ew, ew. Sorry.
Stop reading ahead. I'm not going to tell you again. I'll go sit in another room and record this, I swear.
Okay.
They rematerialized inside out.
I'm too excited. This is really crazy.
And like, I don't mean like, you know, the emotions in their heads were like joy and sadness and fear. No, I'm like talking about literally inside out, not the fucking movie. Like they were inside out human beings. So it's really, really fucking gross. Like the craziest shit you can imagine, really. Which is like, so after this, like the Navy was just like, okay, fuck this. Like official word, fuck this. Like shut it down, bury the fucking project. Which, let's be totally honest here, if this did actually happen, was probably the right fucking decision. You know, it's like you teleported something, you traveled through time, everyone fucking died. You have no idea what the fuck you're doing. It's like, shut this shit down. Like, we'll fucking deal with this at a different time. But they supposedly used brainwashing techniques in order to wipe the memories of some of those involved.
I believe that those exist.
And as a really fun side note, and do not read ahead on this, one of the individuals supposedly associated with this project who survived was brainwashed to forget the event and wound up becoming a subject of future experiments. And those experiments would be known as the Montauk Project, which I found before.
I've heard of that.
It's before I found Philadelphia Experiment. I found the Montauk Project, and I almost did that because that could be a whole nother episode. So why do I mention it now? The Montauk Project is also very well known because it involved things like a secret government facility outside of a small town in America. They experimented with psychic abilities, among other things, to be used as weapons. They also supposedly abducted children for their experiments. And since Robin's probably already said it, which I wrote in my script, which she hasn't, if this sounds familiar, it's because it was indeed the inspiration for a show called Stranger Things.
What?
The Montauk experiment was directly an inspiration for Stranger Things.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
So I'm going to get back to the Philadelphia experiment now. And I just want to wrap this up with some general knowledge, since that's pretty much the theory is like, that's what fucking happened. And the government was like, fuck this, we're done. But to give you guys an example, I shouldn't say an example, to give you guys some knowledge about what went on with the guy who claimed to have seen this and the letters. The guy's name was Carl Allen. Well, he really was a person, and he was a sailor. And he claims he was on the SS Andrew Furoseth, I think I'm saying that right, which was supposedly in Philadelphia during the time of the experiment. And he was on board the ship when he wasn't supposed to be, and he witnessed the events that took place going on with the Eldritch or whatever the fuck it's called. So the Navy, after this story got published, because this guy wrote letters to an author who wound up publishing it.
Okay.
And he was still anonymous. So when the Navy heard that this was happening, they went looking for Carlos Allende. And multiple fake versions of Carlos Allende came forward saying, that was totally me. I was on that ship. I will tell you everything I need to know for a price, bitches. So it's just like the Demon House documentary where like everyone that's attached with it is like, I'll tell you what I know, but you're going to have to pay me some money. You're probably fucking full of shit. And these guys weren't even the right person. They were just saying that because they saw an opportunity. So someone also fucking mailed the Navy a copy of Jessup's book after it was released. And it had 3 different color pens that had like written annotations all over the book where the Philadelphia experiment was like written about. And in that section, like the annotations, which is just, fucking notes in the margins, were like discussing how some of these were very close to being true and how this experiment had taken place and that humans were really close to figuring out teleportation and time travel technology.
What?
And they basically narrated this like story as if they were aliens who had helped out with the project and were like witnessing what was going on, and they wanted, which is just so fucking bizarre, because you're like, okay, so this is what, 50% you trying to help out humans to find this technology, and 50% you just trolling the shit out of them. And it was later determined that these 3 annotations were all written by the same person in 3 different color pens, and that person was Carl Allen, which is the guy who wrote the notes in the first place. So some other quick side notes about Carl Allen. He got super fucking pissed off about how much fucking money people were making off of the letters that he wrote to Morris Jessup, because he was still anonymous, because no one was able to find him. And he saw all these people making money. And during that time, he admitted to people that he was the one that had sent the letters and that he had made it the fuck up, that it was all fake. So once he came out and said, like, those are my fucking letters, and people said, like, hey, he said that it was bullshit, he started getting attention, and people started showing up at his door wanting to know more, and they were probably waving some fucking cash in this dude's face, because all of a sudden he remembered, oh, this shit's real. And he had even more vivid accounts of the event where he was like right next to the ship. He was able to put his hand in the green fog. So it's like every time he tells the story, it's like there's extra fucking details. He's a great writer too, so it's all more and more like bullshit probably. But he also recounted that it had happened. So he said, it happened, it didn't happen, it happened. Then again, he said, like, well, that never really happened. When he did it the second time, he made up this whole new story about some incident that occurred in 1944 where 2 people died that was covered up. And I didn't even dig into that one because I'm like, I'm good, dog. Like, I'll do that a different episode if I'm, like, really struggling for a topic. So a guy named Robert A. Gorman dug into this theory back in 1980. And he was trying to figure out, like, what's true, what's not. And he spoke with Harold Allen, which is Carl's dad. It's just like the ultimate research where it's like, you said what? I'm going to go talk to your dad. And he asserted in his article, based off of his conversations with Harold Allen, that it was clear that, quote, Carlos loves to play games with those people foolish enough to play an audience.
Wow.
So it's like he fucked with people. Like, people like that exist. Like, people like that totally exist that want to fuck with other people, and those are the type of people that just lie through their fucking teeth, and they justify it by telling themselves, well, if they believe it, I can say whatever I want. And everyone that's listening to this probably just pictured one person, whether you know them or they're a celebrity. And as a side note, I just want to say,
I had a person.
Fuck those people. Those people fucking suck. And like, he was also said to be a little bit off. Like, he had a backstory of sending bizarre writings and claims. Like, this isn't the first time this has happened. So like, hearing all that, you have to say, did this really happen? And honestly, in my opinion, probably not. But if something like this did happen, if there was an experiment during this time when all these experiments were actually happening, the most likely steps that would be taken after it got shut down at the time would have been the following. And this is my opinion, because this is what I would do. I would have buried the project completely. Any fucking written documentation would be fucking gone. I just would have no trace of it ever existing. I would discredit anyone who claims knowledge of the project. I'd say things like, they have a history of being crazy. This person's full of shit. They weren't there at the time, so they couldn't have known. And then you falsify whatever records need to be falsified to provide an alibi for where everyone was and where everything was. Because they said later on, like, hey, there's records of the ship this guy says he was on. They were out to sea. There's records of the USS Elrich. That ship wasn't even in Philadelphia at the time, so there's no way this experiment could have happened. But the thing that bothered me about that is when you have a little detail where it's like, yeah, that ship wasn't there at the time. Obviously, this is 100% false. When I hear like that ship wasn't there at the time, the first thing my mind went to is like, oh, they got the name wrong. Oh, they were like wrong about which boat it was. But when the Navy announced like, oh, hey, this wasn't there at the time, we have the records to prove it from like 30, 40 years ago. Obviously, it's 100% bullshit. It's like, well, not obviously. It's probably 100% bullshit. It just seems really annoying that every tiny little detail they poke into the story, which is a story that has a lot of fucking holes.
Yeah.
They're like, it's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. Look at that. I don't like it when people behave that way because it just seems like there is something in the story that might possibly be true.
Right.
Like maybe there was an experiment conducted in the Philadelphia Naval Yard that they're trying to make sure doesn't come to light and they don't want anyone to know about it. So the fact that this is coming up is like, hey, don't even fucking talk about this. But like, it's so hard to tell. So it stands to reason that we should share this on the podcast and let you folks decide. And my personal opinion is that this was a very creative story generated from a very creative mind. But on the off chance there is a sliver of truth to the narrative that's just been painted in the Philadelphia experiment, I always think it's best to be informed. So if someone fucking asks you to sign up for an experiment on a boat, look around for something that apparently resembles like a Tesla coil, or just say no. Or if it's a fuck ton of money, just say yes. And then all aboard, man. And don't forget to go Facebook Live. FYI, I'm still waiting on that fucking check from Zuckerberg because I say that like 5 times an episode. So that's the Philadelphia experiment. There's more to that story. I could dig into like really small, minute details, but like that's what the core of that story is. And for each website you're going to find, there's going to be a different telling of like when the green smoke rolled in and when the people got fused. So really the only thing that you can do if you want to dig into this one yourself is read the letters yourself, because you can fucking find them, or find the original book that was published in 1955, which was primarily about UFOs. So
okay.
It's just that book itself was about like, these are all the weird things that I think exists. And here's some random letters I got from a guy that I don't know if is real stating that this happened. And that's where this whole fucking thing came from. And then eventually a movie got made in the 80s, and I think the sequel was made in the 90s. And I've never seen those. So, but just the fucking image of this thing teleporting and teleporting back, and human beings just fucking fused into walls and shit. Like it's gotta be a very creative, in air quotes, mind that decides to send that to a random stranger and be like, hey, this totally 100% happened. You can believe me. So fun stuff. It's just as fancy free as yours.
Yeah.
So
Super
I think we could call this one the happy episode number 2.
No.
The feel good episode.
Not even a little bit.
Okay. Well, I tried. So I think that's about everything we have for wonderful episode 40 for you folks. So last reminder, go ahead and share this episode and enter the contest in the ways we've detailed. Like, comment, tag a friend, and share. You can also retweet us. If you want to reach out to us with your homegrown horrors, you can reach out to storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast and message us there. You can go to the group from there. You can also join the Discord. If you want to tweet at us, it's @scarishpod. If you are looking to donate to us, there's multiple ways you can do that. You can go to patreon.com and sign up for any of the tiers that suit you best. For even as low as $1 a month, you get early access to all the episodes that we do, which is pretty fucking sweet. You can also go to Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast, and do a one-time donation. Those are going towards the studio upgrade. We've itemized the things that we plan to purchase on there. We don't have specific equipment in mind. We just have the general idea of the price range. So if you're feeling like doing that, go ahead and check it out. And the last way that you can take care of that, if you're looking to do a monetary donation, is watch us on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/scarishpodcast or youtube.com/c as in channel /scarish/live. And from there, you can send a donation to us live on the air. We'll read the message attached with it. I think we've gotten at least one an episode for each episode we've done. We have a goal for the month of September that's Twitch specific. I should say stream specific. That sounds better. But if we get to $100 for the month of September from donations during the live streams, we're going to do a live stream giveaway. And we have a couple things in mind on there. We'll talk about that live on the episode on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So if you guys want to join us, that's awesome. Pacific time is what we're on. So go ahead and check how that lines up to you guys. And I think that's all the normal plugs we do in the outro, unless there's anything I forgot about.
No, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, it's midnight our time. We have a flight to catch in 5 hours. So we're going to let you guys go. So thank you so much for listening to episode 40.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of you. And if you're listening to this on Tuesday, we will see you tomorrow. So keep on creeping on.
And we'll see you guys later this
Fuck that
week.
all up. Keep on creeping on. Goodbye.
Goodbye.